Ever wonder what it really costs to drive your car for just 1 mile? We've all been there, crunching numbers and trying to trim our budgets wherever we can. But when it comes to the actual cost of running a car, it seems like a straight answer is hard to come by. So let's break it down and take a good look at what it costs to own a car, considering every expense that comes with it. Think about all the costs involved. Your monthly car payment, whether it's a lease or a loan, filling up the tank, insurance premiums, regular maintenance, repairs, taxes, parking fees, tolls, new tires, and even those little extras like car accessories and windshield washer fluid. It's a lot more than just paying for gas, isn't it? We're going to calculate the costs for a new car over an 8-year span. Why 8 years? Well, that's about how long the average American or European keeps a new car before selling it. Our example car will rack up around 50,000 miles each year, which is pretty much the norm. Let's dive in and see what the numbers tell us. When it comes to leasing or financing a car, the average monthly payment is about $540. This figure was the average rate for leases in the US last year. If you are eyeing more budget-friendly ride, your monthly payment will be a bit lower. But if you're dreaming of a luxury sports car, prepare for some seriously steep payments. Annually, this adds up to about $6,480 on leasing alone. But what if you pay in cash? Sure, you will sidestep those monthly payments, but you can't ignore depreciation, the gradual loss in your car's value over time. This is especially true for brand new cars, though with used cars you might face higher costs in other areas. Insurance is another biggie. Expect to shell out around $1,500 per year. It's usually cheaper for a brand new car, but this cost tends to climb as your car ages. Now about gas. If you're driving about 15,000 miles a year and your car averages 30 miles per gallon, you'll burn roughly 500 gallons of fuel. With gas prices hovering around $3.50 per gallon, that's an annual fuel cost of about $1,750. Remember, these numbers can vary based on your driving habits, the car's fuel efficiency, and how much you actually drive. But we are talking averages here. You can tweak these estimates to match your own situation. Moving on. At least once a year, you're going to have to swing by the dealership or repair shop for some regular car maintenance. This includes changing the oil and filters, inspecting the major components, and checking the engine and transmission. If your car is pretty new, say in its first 3 years, this routine service is usually not too pricey, running you about $150 to $250 annually. But as your car racks up miles, expect more expensive maintenance tasks. For instance, 5 to 6 years down the road, you might need to replace the timing belt or chain, tensioners, pulleys, water pump, and other parts. A service like that will set you back at least $600 and is typically needed once in an 8-year span. So considering unexpected repairs on high-mileage vehicles and pricier services in the later years, you're probably looking at an average annual maintenance cost of around $700. Of course, this assumes that you've got a 3-year manufacturer's warranty covering your bag. Then there are hidden taxes, known as the registration fee. These depend on your car's make, model, engine type, and other factors. For some cars, it's as low as $50 a year, but for others it could be $500 to $800. Let's ballpark an average of $150 per year for these expenses. Also, in most states, every 2 years your car will need to pass a smoke check, a test for emissions, and yes, you will be paying that bill. But let's count that in with the registration costs. Depending on where you live, you might also have to pay for toll roads and parking. While some of us might not spend a dime on this, Others have to shell out hundreds of dollars every year for parking and tolls. Let's add about $300 a year for these expenses. When it comes to tires, a good set can last up to 40,000 miles, but many of us end up replacing them more frequently. On average in the US, a set of tires lasts around 30,000 miles, or about 2 years. So over an 8-year period, you're likely to go through 4 sets. The average cost for a set is about $1,000. Sure, there are cheaper options and of course more expensive ones, but we are working with the middle ground. That brings us to an additional $4,000 over 8 years, or $500 per year on tires. Every car owner has those extra expenses to think about: car washes, interior detailing, buying air fresheners and various accessories. Sometimes we also have to pay for towing services or roadside assistance, not to mention fines for traffic violations. And remember, every ticket can bump up your insurance premiums the next year. But all this differs so much from person to person, there is no real average cost for fines or those extra accessories, so we won't include these in our overall expenses. So what's our grand total? Adding up all the categories we've discussed over 8 years, you're looking at about $91,000. That means we spent around $11,000 per year to keep our cars running. Given that we are basing this on driving 15,000 miles per year, it turns out that each mile in your car costs you roughly 73 cents. Of course, more than a half of these expenses are from leasing payment. If you bought your car with your savings, you would just need to account for its depreciation each year, but even that can surprise you with some unexpected losses. 73 cents per mile is still cheaper than a taxi, which on average costs about $2.70 per mile in the US. But it's still way more than I expected before I started this little investigation. I hope the results of today's video don't dampen your enthusiasm for enjoying drives in your favorite car, reading articles on our website and watching new videos on this channel. So stay tuned, subscribe and learn more about cars.